All right, welcome back to another episode of Mainly Celtics. Matt Money, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty excited for the season's getting closer and closer. I believe we're within 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
So of at least preseason basketball. So
Yeah.
it'll be nice to see some Celtics again. Nice for have some stuff to talk about other than just kind of minor news and notes.
hmm On the topic of minor news, the preseason roster was finalized this week. We had three more additions that we haven't talked about. Garrison Matthews, Ryan Arcidiacono, and who's the third? Oh, Theo Pinson.
Yeah.
Do any of
I didn't
the
even see the news because I saw the Matthews.
say it again?
Sorry, I was just saying I didn't really see the Pinson news. I saw the other two, so I wasn't really looking too much into what Theo Pinson does well. But the other two are shooters, but they
Yeah,
also are guards, which is just like I don't know if we need any more guards on this roster. I think we need more wings and forwards,
right.
just to be safe. But I guess it really doesn't matter if they're like your 15th man. So
Yeah.
I
Um,
probably like Diacono a little bit better, Archidiacono.
for what reasons? Because I have a different.
Um, I like him because he's a good shooter. I think Garrison Matthews is better, but he's also like a little bit. He's got decent size. He's played some pretty significant roles on NBA teams. So I just think like him being more of an NBA player and a guy that's already been a contributor to an NBA roster is going to be a little bit more helpful. I know Garrison Matthews was basically a spot up shooter last year, but I think he's played less of a role, less of an important role than say Archie has in the past. One a little bit veteran presence.
Okay, but listen to this. Last year, or in 2 years, in Garrison Matthews' NBA career, 2 years he's hit 39% of 244 threes. Last year in the 96th percentile of spot up shooting. Uh, what is EFG estimated field goal efficient?
Effective. So it's like
Okay.
three pointers. Three pointers are weighted more heavily than 2 pointers.
Okay. So the EFG of last year, 57.6% on catch and shoot opportunities, and that's 39% from three. Um, for a team that really could not shoot the ball outside of two players last year, I feel like that's something a guy you roll the dice on the end of the bench, and a guy who's put up shots and made 40% of his threes. Um, that's the type of player you roll the dice on that 15th spot.
Yeah.
The reaction that I'm seeing online is that these guys, the two guys we're talking about, Arcidiacono and Matthews, they are more polished than the end of the bench guys last year. Carson, Tremont, and Taco, guys like that, much better ceiling, much higher ceiling than those three guys I talked about. So even though the roster's pretty big at the moment, there are 20. I mean, which you can take into camp and then whittle down. I think those two guys have a fighting shot at the 15th, 14th, 15th spot on the bench. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think with those three we talked about today, I think it's Jabari, Cornette, and Juwan Morgan. I would rather probably take one of the forwards just because I think depth wise, like I just don't see a spot for another guard.
Yeah.
And unless we're planning on moving, say, like a Josh Richardson pretty soon, which seems like weird that we'd give him an extension and then immediately move him. Or we have something else in the works to maybe ship one of our guards out for another forward. But I would just rather see one of those forwards stick around just in case, say, Hernan Gomez or Grant Williams isn't playing up to what we expect them to. I at least
Mhm.
think Jabari's Jabari's floor is pretty high, and you know what you're going to get with him. He's obviously not going to be a defender. He's not going to really space the court, but he's at least a guy that can get his own shot. And I think that's helpful. And I like having a guy with at least a skill I can trust, and someone that I think will be able to play a role if those other guys just don't perform.
Fair enough. I like that. I personally, for me, I think Jabari should have a spot, no matter what. And then I think you take. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can only have two-way players on that are on their third year of NBA service time or less, correct?
Right. It's gonna be young guys or like international guys like trying to make it, or guys that have been G League players, I believe.
So I don't believe that Arcidiacono, I think this is his fourth year in the league. I don't think Arcidiacono is eligible. I don't think he's eligible for a two-way deal.
Well, I don't think he'd want a two-way deal either. Like, I think those guys, they'd rather test their luck and try and find an NBA deal somewhere else, or try and write out 10-day contracts rather than playing on a two-way deal, like even if they were eligible. Because they're like guys that have played fairly significant roles in NBA teams. Like, I don't know why they'd settle for a two-way deal. And they can't play in the playoffs. No, they can only play a certain amount of games. And I'm pretty sure the money's way less than even if they were to do a vet min. So.
Okay. All right. I guess my takeaway is that I hope one of those two guys gets the last spot and Jabari is on the roster. What do you think about that?
I don't know numbers wise. I can't think if it's 15 or 16. So it's 15, that means we only have one, but I also don't know if our two-way players count towards that.
I don't believe they do.
So I wouldn't mind having to, I wouldn't mind like adding one of the shooters, or adding Matthews or Arcidiacono. Either one would be fine. Like I said, like I don't think they're gonna play a significant role anyways. Just maybe a guy that can come in and just like be steady as that 15th man, like say when we have a couple guys resting or one or two guys injured, just to provide some minutes for a couple games in a row.
Yeah, that's my thinking as well. If the spots are open.
Yeah, which, like I said, I can't remember if the two-way deals count against the spots or not.
I'm pretty positive that they don't. You can have 15 rostered and then two.
But so I think that maybe means I think it gives Juwan. I don't know about Theo Pinson, the name. I know he's been playing in the NBA. I don't know where. I can't remember where exactly he was.
Brooklyn. He played in Brooklyn most recently. I think he started out in Detroit.
Yeah, and I know that Juwan Morgan, I think, is eligible for a two-way deal. Like, he hasn't had enough service time or played long enough. I think he's eligible for a two-way deal, so maybe they take a flyer on him. And then maybe they go with one of the guards, hoping that maybe one of the three of, or maybe they just go with Jabari and Juwan Morgan, just hope that one of those four guys that they have, the power forward position, can provide meaningful backup minutes to Jason Tatum.
Fair, yeah, that's.
Yeah. So do you want to get right into our favorite moments now that we've talked about the news? Or do you need a couple more minutes to think about your number two?
Nope, I got him.
Okay. You want to start with 3-1 or 1-3?
Yeah, 3-1.
3-1. Okay. You want to start with your number three, or you want me to start with mine? We'll go back and forth.
Yeah, I'll start. So as a little bit of a precursor, we're doing these of our lifetime, correct?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna add like Larry Bird, I don't know, scoring 50 left-handed because I didn't watch it. I'm not even gonna add like the comeback against the Pacers because I was, I think, 5 years old or something like that. Yeah. So I didn't watch it. So it was not meaningful to me. I think it's not like best moments, it's like most meaningful.
Okay. Yeah. Of our lifetime, and we'll just sort of talk about them for a little bit. My number three moment is game 3 of the 2008 Eastern Conference Finals against Orlando, and Rondo lays out on the ground against Jameer Nelson and picks the ball up, dives between his legs. like I said, that was game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And it just set the tone. I mean, Orlando was the team that they kept coming up against in the finals in the East, and this moment sort of put the nail in the coffin of that series. I don't think they swept them, but I think it was at least or at maximum a 5-game series. Let me just take a quick look.
Yeah, I didn't take this necessarily as like specific like moments or shots. I kind of took it more as like games and like series, like moments in time. So you find that, I guess I give my number 3. My number 3 is the 2010 Eastern Conference semis, where we officially end LeBron's tenure in Cleveland.
West will inbound. Often you see the guy who throws the inbound pass get it back right away for a three-point attempt. West has hit some threes already here this afternoon. James gets it, fires up a quick three. Won't go. Smith the rebound, back out, stolen by House, and that'll do it. The Celtics are going back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2002.
Okay.
Rondo went crazy that game, I think, or that whole series. I pulled up. I think he averaged like, where I had that listed somewhere. Yeah, so he averaged, where was that? I think he averaged like 20 points. He had 20 points, 6.3 boards, and almost 12 assists a game. So he just went bonkers. LeBron was doing his best on the other side. I think LeBron averaged near triple-double, averaging 25 a game. Mm-hmm. But it just didn't matter because the team around him. And you can kind of tell in that series that was the end for him. There had been rumors all along. Yeah. And that was just a great moment because it was a team, the Celtics team, that really got off to kind of a shaky start. It looked like it started to become the beginning of the end for the Boston Celtics as like the dynasty of like the Big Three era. But They were able to defeat LeBron in the playoffs. They looked much better. They were a little bit older of a team, but I think they were able to get rest throughout the season. Obviously, coming off 2009, where they, I think, were definitely title favorites. Yeah. And the KG injury really derailed that. Mm-hmm. But I think in 2010 they came back and they were once again like they were so close to winning the title. Nope. And it's tough losing to the Lakers, but I think that moment in time where it's like they ended LeBron's tenure in the first trip in Cleveland. Yeah. And I thought it was an awesome moment. It was an awesome series. And that was one where I was starting to get a little bit older. Like even 2008, I don't like remember it because I was still pretty young, but 2010, I was a little bit older, had a little bit better memory of it. And that was when my hatred of LeBron was like at its peak, really. So it was very cool to see them eliminate them there.
That is neat. I've been seeing a lot of like prime Rondo on Twitter, a lot of talk about Rondo, and it's incredible to go back and watch that footage. But
he's being compared to Ben Simmons a lot, and I think the big difference is like Ben Simmons doesn't have that dog in him like Rondo does. Like Rondo can turn on a switch and become like the greatest player on the planet.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Rondo could take shit over at what? How tall is he? 6'1"?
Yeah, and he wasn't a shooter, but occasionally he's like one of those guys. I mean, even you say that about like Draymond. Like Draymond's another guy gets compared to Ben Simmons a lot. Like Draymond hit like 7 threes in that one of those finals games for the Warriors. Like it's like Rondo could do that kind of stuff. Rondo could go out and just randomly grab 20 rebounds. Rondo could throw like 18 assists. He could go off score and like drop. Well, he could just do so much, and you never knew when it was going to happen. But he was one of those guys where he's always a great passer, but you never know when he was just going to explode for some crazy stat line.
Yeah, seriously.
And carry a team.
I remember when I was younger, I vividly remember a strange clip from like ESPN. They were doing like a horse tournament or something, and it was Chris Paul versus Rondo, and they were just like going back and forth trading 30 footers. Like Rondo would not miss. I mean, like although he gets the rep as a not a great shooter, he could still knock down anything you needed him to. I mean, there are countless videos of like step back jump shots that he's burying from 15 to 18 feet, you know. I remember 2-3 years ago, for the Lakers, he beat the Celtics on the jump shot from the elbow, you know, like
Yeah, that was tough.
That was tough, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Ben Simmons comp is strange to me, just because they both can't shoot. I mean, Ben Simmons cannot shoot, and Rondo can.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with like Draymond Green. Obviously, Draymond Green hasn't shown the ability to do that then, but like he wasn't a good shooter. Neither was Rondo, but they had the ability to be like decent enough where occasionally, if you leave them open, they can just catch fire. And
Yeah.
Rondo was a different beast in the fact that like he could get hot, then all of a sudden he becomes a good shooter.
Right.
Like then you're closing out on playing tough D and he's hitting like pull up jumpers in your face. But so that was my number 3.
Yeah.
So what was your number 2?
Game 6 of the 2008 finals.
Game 6, okay.
That's when they won the Larry O'Brien, and they beat the Lakers 131-92, I believe. And
yeah, that was kind of an unceremonious ending.
I mean, I recently watched this game on YouTube, and there was a moment where it was like 35-31, and then you look away for 5 minutes and it's 68-38, you know, like they just went on a 30-0 run in the middle of the second, and it was at the Garden too, like blew the Lakers out. And that's one of the better feelings in basketball, to see the Lakers lose.
Hype right now. Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
So I have another moment I'll kind of talk about later on with that one though. But yeah, so that Celtics team was like able to get on some big runs.
Yeah.
My number 2 was the China game, the Isaiah Thomas game 2 of the first round.
Yeah.
Where it dropped, I believe, 53 points.
Yep.
But that one was one of those ones. I mean, it really was that whole 2017 playoffs for Isaiah Thomas. Like, that was my moment, because like I started that. I knew that was one of the moments I wanted. And then I kind of remembered like he helped, obviously the first round they were able to win. They were able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals where the Cavs smoked them. But even in that, like he was playing hurt throughout it. He obviously had the weight of like his young sister. Like he said, I think it was supposed to be her 23rd birthday at the time.
Yeah.
He had that weight on his shoulders. He was playing through injury. He was playing his heart out. If you weren't a fan of Isaiah Thomas before that playoff run, I think you definitely were after. I think that's a lot of the reason that playoff run was a big reason why he's so endeared in most Celtics fans' hearts. And that was just
exactly. I was just about to say, I mean, he cemented his legacy, and he cemented undying love from every Celtics fan there is during that series. That playoff run.
It's her birthday today. Happy birthday. She would have been 23 today. So everything I do is for her, and she's watching over me. So that's all her.
And I mean, hopefully he gets picked up by a team soon. I know the Warriors were seriously interested with him, but I guess he left camp without he left the Warriors facility without a official offer, even though he looked really good. I guess with some other guards.
They just
hopefully bounce around and find a place.
Avery Bradley.
Yeah, it was Avery Bradley, and I think there was one more. They sent another guard that they added to the training camp roster. But either way, hopefully he picks up on a team soon. But hopefully, that was my number 2.
All right, my number 1 comes from that same run, and it's Kelly Olynyk's Game 7 against the Wizards.
Been unmatched here tonight.
Wall has missed his last 7 attempts. Thomas comes to the ball. Olynyk for 2. Yes.
Look for, if you're Brad Stevens, to make that switch and get Smart back on Beal.
33 for Beal. It's a 5-point game. Olynyk. Count it! Kelly Olynyk with a 3.
And go.
Beal is 8 of 8 at the free throw line. 101-97 Celtics. Halfway point of the fourth quarter of Game 7. Olynyk again! Bradley will get it to the big man. Shot clock is down to 4. Olynyk goes to work. Porter there defensively. Olynyk gets the roll. Kelly Olynyk can do no. He's defending Bradley. We'll see if the Celtics look to take advantage there. Thomas, the jab step. Olynyk a 3. Oh, Kelly Olynyk!
I think he ended up with 17 points and 8 rebounds, but it was the coolest 17 points you could have found. Like, plus it's game 7, Kelly Olynyk's knocking down deep triples, like in the mouth of John Wall, considered one of the better defensive point guards at the time. Guys like this, and Kelly's spinning to the basket, taking and-1s and banking it home, sliding around on the floor. Plus, like, seeing him pump his fist and bump chests with like Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley and these really intense guys, seeing the fact that they're Kelly's teammates really took to him taking the spotlight and having the game of his life, which then turned into a 3-year, $52 million deal in Miami after that series.
Yeah. I mean, Kelly Olynyk was a guy that I wanted him initially.
Yeah.
Because I saw him in college. And I was like, wow, he's like the greatest offensive center I've ever seen. He can shoot, he can post up, he can do all this stuff. Clearly that was not the right decision, but I always, of course, tried to defend him as best I could because I was so wanted the Celtics to get him so bad at the time.
Yeah.
And that game was very trying to think of the right word for it, but it made me very happy, because I finally got what I wanted. I finally got Kelly Olynyk proving his worth.
Yeah,
so that was nice to see.
It was an affirmation.
Yeah, there you go. Affirmation of my hopes and wishes. It does suck, obviously, because I'm pretty sure they trade up to from the pick. They trade up to get Kelly Olynyk. They traded up a couple picks, and the pick that went after Kelly Olynyk was Giannis, obviously. So
right,
probably would have rather have Giannis if I'm being honest here. But either way, I did like Kelly Olynyk. I'm glad that he was popping off in Houston this year.
Mm-hmm.
But
he just re-upped with them, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I think him and Tyser together. That's a weird roster. They have a lot of centers, and I don't know why, because their best players, Christian Wood. So I don't really understand that logic. But I mean, I don't know what's going on down in Houston. So
no, me either. But yeah, that's my number one moment of at least the past 15 years.
So my number one was Game 4 of the 2008 Finals. And there's just the 2008 Finals kind of as a whole, but I look specifically at Game 4. So if you don't remember, Game 4, they're up 2-1 headed into the game. And they immediately got down to a massive deficit. I believe it was a 24-point deficit in the second quarter. Lamar Odom was absolutely going off. And they wound up closing it and getting the lead. I think they went on a 21-3 run at one point in the second half in order to take the lead. They were able to hold on. I think we got a big performance. I believe it was James Posey that had the big game. I think I had that up there. So I think it was James Posey had a huge game for the Celtics. And obviously Pierce and Ray Allen and Garnett, they contributed. They weren't really at their best that game, but it was still enough. And just looking back at some of those games, some of those scores were ugly.
Yeah, seriously.
Some of them were 70-something points.
Yeah, seriously.
But no, that game was obviously awesome, seeing the comeback. And that really, I feel helped turn the series, because that's a 2-2 series. It's a completely different ballgame rather than being up 3-1. They wind up winning in 6, but if that's 2-2, probably a good chance that goes 7.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what happens in a Game 7, especially with the Lakers. We know how that goes late in the series. So that was an awesome moment, as well as, of course, the actual celebration. The anything is possible speech is obviously very kind of well known. It's a big time speech, and just when you think about Celtic success of the recent years, that's definitely, I think, the first thing you think of.
Yeah,
that
it even got
2008.
into a Lonely Island song. I mean, that's when you know you've made it.
Yeah, for sure. But no, that was definitely my number one moment. Just because I remember, like I said, like we were talking about, I think a couple weeks ago, like I really got into basketball like the year before. I was really just watching baseball when I was younger. Really got into basketball, and it was like very cool to see them instantly become like good after 1 year. It was just a really fun team to root for overall.
It really was, yeah. A lot of characters, a lot of heart, a lot of really good talent too.
Yeah, it's good to see them all getting recognized. I know, at least Paul Pierce and KG's getting his jersey retired this year. So it's cool to see those guys honored. I don't think Rondo will ever get honored. Just don't think his tenure is quite long enough. I think Rondo will forever be held in high regard in Celtics fans' hearts.
Absolutely. Do you think Ray Allen gets his jersey retired?
No,
Neither.
not in a million years.
No.
So, have they given it out recently? I feel like someone's got to have it, right?
I mean, Hayward wore it. I think Jabari was.
Yeah, Jabari's wearing that too. I knew someone. Yeah, Hayward wore it. Yeah. No one wore 5 in between, did they?
I don't think so.
Because usually they'll do it like, they'll do like a ghost retirement where if they think they're going to retire the jersey, they won't have anyone wear it. Like that's what I've noticed. I believe the Red Sox have done that with Jason Varitek and Tim Wakefield's number.
What was that, 33 and 49?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's worn it since, which is like 49, like, okay, maybe just no one picks number 49, like that's whatever. But 33, like you'd think would be a pretty popular number.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I would have to double check on that. I bet those two and Pedroia are the next numbers that get retired.
Yeah. And then soon after Bogarts. But
right. They're gonna start looking like the Celtics with all these numbers retired.
I know, but I mean, honestly, Pedroia's run was pretty short when you really think about it.
Yeah, but I mean,
because when did that Machado? Yeah, obviously his peak was very high. But when did that Machado slide happen? Was that 16?
Oh, it was before that.
Really? So I mean, like, because he came into the league in 07.
Right. Yeah.
So he didn't even
won
have
Rookie of the Year, and then in 2008 won MVP.
Yeah, so he didn't even have 10 years. He didn't have. Did he even have like 10 years of like playing?
No, I don't think so.
That's wild. Yeah, because I remember like 2018, he was trying to.
He was rostered for 10 years.
Yeah. No, he was rostered for 10 years. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. I was like, I remember he tried to come back in 2018, tried to come back in 2019, then just didn't happen. Yeah. But I couldn't remember when it happened. It must have been like 2016 or 2015 that happened, because that was the beginning of the end.
I think it was honest. No, maybe it was 15.
I can look it up real quick.
Yeah. Because
Pedroia,
I know I personally wasn't the biggest Dustin Pedroia fan. I was.
No, it was April 2017.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was. Because like I know like 2018, like there's legit thought that he was going to come back and like just be the starting second baseman, because we had what's his name, Kinsler, right?
Yeah, right.
So it was like, oh, if Pedroia comes back and he's like 75% of what he was, like that'd be a huge addition. And then that just never happened. Then like 2019 is like, oh, maybe he'll be able to come back and still be able to produce. And then he had more setbacks, and then eventually he just called it quits. But so he had about 10 solid years, but
enough to get your
only one really championship. Pass. Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah, he only won one. He only was there for the 2013 champ. Technically, it was 2018, but like he really didn't contribute at all.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I really haven't looked at his resume. Like the Red Sox usually aren't too willing to like just retire numbers willy nilly. Like, so I don't know. Like honestly, like I think probably I'm in the minority here, thinking that Freud doesn't get his number retired. But I just don't know if he's got the longevity.
I think that would be the only thing holding him back. I mean, he's beloved in Boston.
Yeah, for sure. I do think there's probably a good chance. I still hate Manny Machado for that though.
Yeah, pretty punk ass move.
Yeah,
I do like.
He only made 4 All-Stars. and only won one Silver Slugger. I don't know, dude. That's tough. Like,
it is.
His peak really wasn't that long.
No.
Because he went on a run. I mean, he started pretty late. I mean, he started when he was 23 years old. I guess not pretty late, but he went on a run. He made an all-star game. And, I mean, I don't know. This one's weird.
It is strange.
Just looking at his numbers, like after really after 2013, it really started kind of go downhill.
He's still what?
Even really after 2011,
hitter, a career 300 hitter.
299.
Damn, that stinks.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Who was it? Someone, I think it was wasn't John Kruk the one that finished with? I believe he finished with a 300 batting average exactly and 100 home runs, like on the dot.
Really?
It's like that's pretty cool when you do stuff like that.
Yeah,
like I think Kobe's points per game is like 25 exactly, which is like another one like pretty cool to like get like a round number like that.
Yeah.
But
that is neat.
Well, do you have any more takes or things you want to drop on us?
I'm trying to cook something up over here.
Did you see the cat news? Or not really the cat news, but
he's just pissed off they fired the GM without telling him.
Yeah, but the GM, I guess, was like, I don't know, like banging a like lower level employee like in the offices at the Timberwolves facility.
Damn.
So like not really a great look. So I think that it's probably like justified.
Yeah.
That they do that. Wiggins won't be. So also Wiggins, I don't know what's gonna happen with him. You saw the Wiggins news, right?
I did, yeah.
He won't be
able to play home games if he doesn't.
Yeah, which is like tough. It's like if you're the Warriors, like you have to trade him, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because like, what happens if you like host a playoff series and like that's still in effect, and like they're not even host, but what if they're like your game clinching or you like must win game at home and you just can't have a guy making I think near max contract or a max contract at this point, just not suiting up. Like you can't just eat that. So we'll see. Maybe we'll try and get something done for Ben Simmons.
That's what I'm thinking. I know
that's the shit that's gonna like piss me off though, because then they're just gonna get Ben Simmons for literally just like Wiggins straight up because the Sixers have like no leverage right now, or they'll like Wiggins in a pick or something like that, or Wiggins in a couple picks.
Yeah. From what I'm hearing about this is that the Sixers are really trying to take advantage of whatever leverage they do have, because they know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they know this, but what I'm thinking, they like the news that I'm hearing is that Ben Simmons might have to sit out. The Sixers are, from what all that I'm hearing, they're content with letting this ride, like
no. So is Ben Simmons though. Ben Simmons like, sure, dude, I don't care, because the way his contract structured too is like you take a percentage of his. I'm sure Rich Paul has something to do with this, but you take like a percentage of how much money they're making. But like his new contract, like financially doesn't kick in till like much later in the year, so he's still only getting fined from his like rookie deal.
Yeah.
So he's like not really losing a ton of as much money as you would think.
No. And I also think it's like November 15th or something when that salary year kicks in, it's immediate $16 million to him. No matter if he's sitting out or not.
Yeah. I just don't think he really cares as much. I think he rather just wants to get put in a different, like the Sixers have no leverage though. Like, cause like Ben Simmons, yeah, he's a great player. He's an all-star caliber player. He is not going to win a championship as your best player. So you cannot ask these teams to trade away their best players plus assets in order to get him. Like Sacramento's like, we're not trading away De'Aaron Fox. Like, how does that make us that much better? Right. We just have this massive contract on our hands, and you're asking for picks. Like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to mortgage our future plus our best all-star chemistry. We're not ready to win right now with him anyway. So what's the point in getting him? That's what, like, if you're a rebuilding team, like, what's the point in taking on a massive contract right now? If you're a contending team, like, why are you? They want your best player, so like, why would you be willing to give up a all-star caliber player in order to get a guy that's at best like going to be a lateral move, and they're going to ask for picks.
Yeah, right.
Like, because just go around the league, like how many teams you legitimately think are like would be willing to give their best player, like even their second best player. Like I know the Celtics wouldn't give up Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons.
No.
I know the Heat probably wouldn't give up Bam for Ben Simmons.
Or Jimmy Butler.
Trying to think of other. Yeah, whichever one you consider their number one or number two. That's what I was saying. Number two. I was assuming Jimmy was number one, but
yeah. Okay, so the two questions I have for you about personnel. Would Portland move CJ McCollum, and would Dallas move Porzingis?
Dallas would love to move Porzingis. If I'm Philly, I would not want that in a million years. Like that doesn't help them because they don't need another guy that's just gonna be like, I don't know. It's like then you have a lineup of Tobias Harris, Kristaps Porzingis, and Joel Embiid. Like that would be your front court, which is just like, I think big, not really elite defensively. Like you obviously have Embiid. It's gonna be a lot of size, so it probably will be a solid solid defense. But like Kristaps is just gonna sit out there and shoot threes. Like I'd much rather get a guy that's gonna be an elite shooter rather than a guy that's a great shooter for his size. Because like that doesn't matter. Like I think ideally they'd rather move Tobias Harris to the 4 because like spacing wise, if he's your 4th best shooter on the court, or even your 3rd best, that's fine. But most of the time he's been like your 2nd or 3rd best. So I think even moving him down to the 4, adding another shooter like CJ McCollum, who's a guy who's just going to knock down 40% of his shots, like that would be a huge addition. I think
does Portland make that move though?
I think they should. Like I get that unless Dame's just like if you move CJ, I'm asking for a trade. Then anything other than that though, I'd be making that move 100 times out of 100. Depends on obviously how much they want for picks and stuff, but if it's like straight up or like 1 or 2 picks, like I'd be more than happy to move that because constantly the biggest problem next to Dame is that he's not a good defender. You're going to allow him to play off ball more. You're going to be able to stagger them enough. So you have 2. I think you probably could send a guy like Anthony Simons, who's been like that backup point guardish role or backup like ball handler role. So you can move a guy like him and then stagger their minutes, get some shooters around Ben Simmons, kind of build your team around Dame and Ben Simmons, which I think is a much better fit than Ben Simmons and Embiid, 2 guys that aren't really good shooters. And obviously Embiid he was good last year, but not going to be ideally like a spot up shooter, going to be spacing the court a whole lot. I just think that makes the most sense from both sides. I just don't think Dallas, I think Dallas should do that 100 times out of 100. Yeah. But even then, like, how much is Ben Simmons going to help you? Like Ben Simmons is best with the ball in his hand. Luka's a guy who constantly has the ball in his hand, like almost all the time.
Yeah, he's like top 2 in usage behind James Harden or something like that.
So it's like, I don't know how much a guy where his really only contributions offensively are when the ball's in his hand, right? Like he's not going to develop into a guy that's just going to be a roll man. Like that's not the best way to use him. Like you can find other guys that can do that just as well. So I don't really think that fit makes sense. And I don't think that Philly would really want to take on Porzingis' contract. I'm pretty sure it like just kicks in this year, right? Or maybe it kicked in last year. So there's still quite a few years left on it.
Yeah.
One I don't hate that I heard is like Colin Sexton and Kevin Love and maybe in some picks for Ben Simmons. Yeah. Because like I think Love just has 1 more year left. I think this is last year on his deal, maybe. I think this is last year on his deal. And either way, I think he played better than what he's shown. Because I just think he literally just mailing it in with that team. If he's like your backup center, then that's fine. Like he'll be a fine backup center on a competing team. I don't think he's gonna be anything outstanding by any means. And then you have Colin Sexton, who once again is a guy that's a great shooter and just provides more shot creation, some more spacing for Joel Embiid. And I think you just gotta think about ways to build your team specifically around Embiid.
Let me grab my charger. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
All right. Does moving Colin Sexton, would you who's the other point guard over there?
Darius Garland.
Garland. There we go. I knew it was Sexland. I just couldn't think of the Garland. Do you think Cleveland is ready to punt on Sexton? Like, I
think you got to make a decision on one of the small guards that can't play defense. Like,
yeah, I know next year they'll have to. His rookie deal's ending. They'll have to pay him next year.
Yeah, like he could very easily walk and restricted if they don't want to pay him this year. So I mean, I think he provides a lot of value for both teams.
That's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that one before.
That's just, I don't know. Like, obviously, it's not the best deal, but it's like, I think if your back's against the wall, and then I think after that year, like I said, I don't know how much more. I think Kevin Love, this is his last year on his deal.
I think you're right.
But if it is his last year on his deal, and then Sexton's gone, like, you could create a lot of cap space that way pretty easily after the season, then go out and maybe sign someone or do a sign and trade to acquire another star. But I just think you just need to provide guys that can shoot around Embiid, because I think Embiid could put up MVP type numbers. You saw last year without great spacing, and if he just gets a couple more guys that can just shoot around him, I think he can be in for like a absolutely monster year, as long as he stays healthy, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But we'll see. I seriously think that if they get another shooter, if they get a shooter for Simmons, I think that he's my MVP front runner.
Embiid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he probably should have won MVP last year.
It was just the games, right? Like, if he would have played the same amount of game, like 70 games or 65 games, he would have won MVP. But
yeah. But I think there was a stretch where he missed like 20 or something, right?
Yeah. But I mean, also with that though, there's a lot of guys that probably should have or could have won MVP, and because of injuries that derailed them. Like we said, KD was looking like he was an MVP, then he missed a bunch of time. LeBron looked like he might have been the front runner for MVP. He missed some time. Someone else went down too that I thought was like had a really good shot of winning MVP.
Dame?
Not Dame. I'm trying to think. I can't think. I thought there was like one more that was like really going off. Even Harden, like, because Harden missed some time, right?
Yeah.
I think that would have been a lofty one, but it seemed like it went perfect. I mean, it pretty much worked out perfectly for Jokic, where just so many guys only had like 50 games played. So they just kind of gave it to him because he played all 72. It was really good for all 72.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
But he played really well. He's deserving of an MVP. It just there were times where Embiid specifically looked unstoppable. There was a run where, like, I think the Sixers went like, I don't know, they won 8 or 10 straight in a row, and Embiid had 30 and 12 every game, something like that.
Yeah. But I feel like, honestly, like, it's like Bam's like the one dude in the NBA that can like consistently like stop him, or at least like mitigate him to the point where he's not like just overpowering guys. Like, on any given night, he can just overpower pretty much anyone. It seems like Bam's the only one that really puts up a solid fight. But, well, that's all I have for NBA stuff. Pretty much all stuff. So, my week to pick, I'll make it a surprise again this week. I'll try and get us uploaded bright and early Sunday morning.
Good deal.
Okay, peace.
See you, buddy.